In 2.5 weeks, the City of Victoria Council will have to decide whether to borrow money to rebuild or rehabilitate the Johnson Street Bridge. The city says something has to be done or the bridge will have to be shut down. Now, polls show that cost is the biggest concern for people living in Victoria. Astrid Braunschmidt is live with more on how one former city staffer believes the bridge project can be made more affordable. Astrid?
Well, Barry Mayhew was Victoria's first Economic Development Commissioner, and he says to make it fair to Victoria taxpayers, the new Johnson Street Bridge should have a toll. It will cost tens of millions of dollars to upgrade or rebuild the Johnson Street Bridge, and one man who lives in the capital says it's not fair to hand Victoria taxpayers the entire bill.
I think this is an example of where the use or pay principle should be applied.
That's right. Mayhew, the city's first Economic Development Commissioner, says the new Blue Bridge should have a toll.
To me, it makes no sense that people living in Victoria, who are on the hook to pay for the whole thing, and probably use it very sparingly, compared to people who live in the West Shore, who use it frequently, and they pay nothing. That to me doesn't make sense.
Mayhew also doesn't understand why the toll option hasn't been discussed by council yet as a way to pay for the $56 million rebuild or the up to $80 million rehabilitation cost. On August 12th, City Council will decide whether to borrow the money to refurbish or rebuild the ailing Blue Bridge. It was about a year ago that Councillor Chris Coleman brought up the toll bridge idea, but at that time City Council wasn't prepared to discuss the option, and they're still not ready to do so, which is why Councillor Coleman declined our request for an interview today.
This is the largest infrastructure project the city has ever undertaken by many millions, and we can't underestimate that cost is the #1 issue to this community. And so council is being very responsive to the community's need for information on the two options.
This week, Ipsos-Reid is conducting a survey for the city about the bridge to find out what information you need going forward. Ross Crockford says people need to know all the financial implications before making an informed decision. He may oppose the city's options, but his group is in favor of a toll on the bridge.
A lot of the people who live in the city of Victoria are not necessarily people who use the bridge, and so if there isn't a lot of money coming from other municipalities or other regions, then maybe that's a way to capture some of those funds.
Either way, city engineers say doing nothing is not an option.
If we're doing nothing, we will have to seriously consider an eventual closure around 2012.
Polling information gathered this week and the decision by Council August 12th will shape the referendum scheduled for late November. Mayhew hopes the toll question will be on the ballot.
It should be on the referendum or on the ballot.
Now, after this week's consultation and polling period, the next chance for the public to weigh in comes in November. The city is working towards a referendum on November 20th or 27th. And the referendum question, Mary Beth, must specifically reflect the amount and the purpose of the borrowing.
Astrid Braunschmidt reporting live. Thank you.
You're welcome.